A company called Joyalens sent me this digital microscope to do a review for them. And when I'm doing soldering, I often end up wearing these. Not very comfortable. Or years ago, I bought one of these cheap digital microscopes, and that was really for when I was trying to identify components, small diodes and things, trying to read the number on them. And when I'm getting serious stuff, then I sometimes resort to wearing this thing as well, this contraption. So when they sent me an email and said, would you like to take a look? I thought, brilliant, maybe I can get rid of this and use that instead. So let's take a look. Okay, this is what we'll be looking at. It's the Joyalens JL249MS, which is the 10-inch version of their digital microscope range. And just a quick look at some of the specifications. It supports video at Ultra HD at 24 frames per second, Full HD at up to 60, and HD at 120 frames per second, and the recording format is MP4. You can take digital photos at 24 megapixels and they are stored as JPEG. You get 3 lenses in the box and they are labelled A, D and L, giving you a magnification range of anything from 18 up to 2040. And we'll take a look at these individually. And you get micro SD, HDMI out, remote control, Windows support and a couple of LEDs to view your objects. Now, just a quick look at those 3 lenses then. The first lens is labelled A and it gives you a zoom range of anything from 18 to 720 times zoom. And the distance, this is not the focal distance, this is the distance that the object needs to be from the lens to your object. So that can be anything from 12 to 320 millimeters. The next lens is the type D. This is the real high magnification one. That's anything from 1800 to 2040 times zoom, which is unbelievable, but you do have to have your object very close to the lens. In fact, they give you a little base stand to put on here to bring it closer to the lens. And then the one that I will most use, I think, it'd be this one, the L lens, which gives quite a wide magnification range of 60 to 240, and also a wide sort of distance range to the object as well, 90 to 300 millimeters. Now this, I found that doing electronic stuff is ideal for identifying, the part number on a diode, or doing some soldering, or looking closely at a PCB, for example. The manufacturer suggests that the lenses are used for these types of examples. So lens A, observing coins, plants and stones. It's where you want to get more of the object in the view, but still have that zoom effect, of course, but get more of it in the view so you can see it as a whole, perhaps. And maybe it's stamp collectors or something like that be of use. This one was great fun to play around with because it's the very high zoom, and that's really for biological slides and observation of biological materials, plant cells. They give you a honeybee wing to have a look at, for example. And this L lens, well, exactly as I suggested, soldering and repairing. So ideal for electronics in my view. Now, when I got the box, it basically looked like this, and when I opened it up, then you were presented with a rather nice user guide. It's pretty good. There's the normal translation errors in there, here and there, but it's obvious it's an error and you can work around that. But you do get a rather nice quick start guide, as you can see, that's laying on the back there. In fact, I didn't actually need it because it took all of about 3 minutes to assemble, and I'll show you what that involved exactly. But when I open the box, you take the lid out, and then it reveals the screen and lens assembly, which sits in the top there. There's a few leads in the back there, as you can see. But actually, there was a whole load of goodies that came with it. It included all of this stuff. So you had the display and microscope assembly, you had the metal base, of course, that everything stands on. You get this upright arm, you got the boom arm that the device slides in and out on. You got 3 lenses, you get a storage tub for those. You get remote control, which I find was much better than the control that's on the physical lead. You get an HDMI lead because it's got HDMI out, so you're ready to go straight away. USB cable, there's the dimmer cable, so you can turn the LEDs on and off with a sort of a corded control thing, and you can turn them up and down as well, but I prefer to use this remote for that. It's got illuminated slide holder, that's the little box you can see there. You've got a few sample slides which we'll have a look at, and a bug box so you can put your own stuff into this little clear box to view. Little set of plastic tweezers which were quite honestly a load of rubbish, and it did actually come with a micro SD card, 32 gig, even though in the manual it says not supplied. It was actually supplied in my kit. So let's just have a quick look at all of this stuff on the bench, then we'll run through it. Right, first up then is the screen and lens assembly. So there's obviously the screen there. You got front controls there, button controls. This is for your infrared receiver, so when you're using the remote it picks up there. And on the back there's the lens with the focusing dial there, and this flips over like that. That's its normal state. But with that hinge there, it means you can adjust the screen to a suitable viewing angle. On the back here you have got, let's just flip it around. There we go. You've got your HDMI port there, got your USB port there, which gives it power, and you can also connect to your PC. That's the micro SD card, which I've already put in there. Okay, so put that back. So, and there's a little reset button there, so if it locks up or you screw up the settings or whatever, you just press that once with something plastic preferably like that, and it will put it back to the factory defaults. So here's the quick start guide then. It's very simple. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps. I'm not going to do video on this because it's just so simple. You just screw this upright into the base, then you slide on the boom arm and you fit the microscope assembly into that. It's very easy. In fact, in the user manual, you can just scan this QR code here, scan it with your phone, click on the link, and there you go. There's a video there. It shows you how to set it up anyway. So the device is USB powered, and this is the lead to connect it all up. This goes into your supply. This one plugs into the base unit, the back of the base, to power the LEDs, and this goes into the back of the screen, the micro USB connection. And then this you can use to turn the device on and off, and you've got the up and down brightness controls for the LEDs. Brilliant. Alternatively, you can connect the device into your PC. There's some Windows software you can download. This would go into the back of the screen as before, and that would go to your PC. And it comes with an HDMI cable. Forget this Velcro, I've added that. It didn't come with that. But this goes into the back of the display, and this goes into your monitor. And then you can view whatever it is you're viewing in a much bigger display area. So even more magnification if you think about it. And it comes with these sample slides. So these are glass slides with small samples that have been placed inside. There you go. So that's a honeybee wing, pine stem, onion, yeah. And they're quite good fun having a look at them. So when you use these, you have to put it onto this base. So this base sits on the main base of the microscope. You then disconnect the power lead from the back that would power the LEDs on the main base, and that goes into here. Then this illuminates. So when you put the slide onto that, it's illuminated from the back, and we'll have a look at that later on. But rather than use the slides, if you want to get your own samples, then they provide this little clear tub. So you just pop that open, insert whatever it is, close it up, and then that would sit on the base and illuminate through so you can see it clear. Get this little tub to keep the lenses in. The third lens I've got on the microscope at the moment. So lens D is there. I've kept them in the plastic bag for the time being. And this is lens A, and they sit nicely in there, so keep them safe. And to help you navigate around all of the options and controls, then you get an infrared remote as well. So rather than using the buttons on the front of the display, you can use this instead, and that way you're not jogging the device. That works really well. And finally, probably the least impressive, you get these plastic tweezers. They're not very good. I'm probably going to not use them at all. But I mean, I tend to use these type of tweezers anyway, which work great for electronic stuff. There you go. That's the whole thing set up now. I've got one of my PA triggering boards here that we're viewing. I've got the LEDs on, of course, and you can turn that up and down using this control. That's going down and going back up. About there is about right. And the display is really good. It's really sharp. Now, one thing I don't like is these controls on the front, and I don't recommend you use them because when you start pressing this, you're moving the thing around, so it's not great at all. So let's just get back to where we were. Yeah, you're much better off using the remote, but just to let you know, so at the moment we're on video mode, which is depicted by this camera here, the video camera. You press M and it'll go through the various modes. Now we're on picture mode. You press M again, and now you can cycle through anything that you've captured onto the SD card. That might be video, it might be a photo. You can scroll through using this up and down arrow, and you can play it or whatever. Press M again, get back to the video mode there. And then if you hold M for about, I don't know, 2-3 seconds, then you can get into all your settings. But it's a bit clunky using this. And like I say, you keep bouncing the thing around in it because you're zooming so much. Then the effect of that is much more apparent on the display. So you're much better off using this. So I'm using the L lens at the moment, which, as I said, is the most appropriate, I think, for electronic stuff. So let's just look on the flip side of this board and have a look at my my soldering quality. Let's pick some smaller ones there. Not too bad. Let's see if we can get in a bit closer to that and zoom in even more. So I'm lowering the device now, so the lens is getting closer to the object. And then obviously it's gone out of focus, so I need to refocus using the focusing wheel. Let's just turn that and bring that back in. There we go, look at that, really zoomed in. Perfect. Right, let's just stick on one of the other lenses and have a look at that. And I've got the A lens on there now, and that gives you a magnification range of anything from 18 to 720 times zoom. And the distance to your object needs to be something between 12mm and 320mm. So I've got a 2p coin there. Let's stick that into view. And that's probably about there. And let's bring that into focus. Another way. There you go. So that's really what they recommend that this lens is used for, is observing coins. So probably collectors of coins, maybe stamp collectors, stuff like that. So you're getting more of the object in the view, but still getting the zoom, of course. Let's see what it's like if we go a bit closer to that coin. Oh, I'm right down as close as I've got the thing set at the moment. Let's go back. Bring more into view. We're going back up now. And then refocus. There you go. Let's adjust that light over there a bit. That's better. Now all I'm doing with the raising and lowering is you've got one of these dials either side. There's one this side, one this side. You see it's a nice smooth action to raise and lower that whole mechanism. Okay. So let's get really serious now and use this D lens, the one that takes you up to 2040 times zoom. So this is going to give us some real detail. So you go, that's the D lens now fitted. That gives you a magnification of 1800 to 2040 times zoom. But your object has to be really close. It's only between 4 and 5mm. So I'll have to lower this all down and put on the little illuminated box. And let's have a look at some of those sample slides. So there you go, I've lowered it down and I've got the base box here, the illuminated box, and yeah, you've got to be within 4 to 5mm, so it's very close. It took a bit of adjustment on the focus wheel to get it right, but once you do, it's a fantastic image. Look at that. So this is 2040 times zoom. You see every bit of detail of that bee's wing. I'm just moving the slide just the tiniest amount here. Incredible. Now you do have to remember that this to get the illumination to work, you have to disconnect this lead from the back of this base. That's why these LEDs are off. Plug it into this box and then that illuminates. Okay, So there you go, I've got the L lens back on now and it's set up as it was originally. I'm going to now try the HDMI lead. Okay, so this mini HDMI goes in the back of the microscope there, and this goes into my monitor. There you go, so I've got the HDMI lead now connected up. This is my secondary PC monitor and I've plugged in the back of that, and as you can see it's all come up. So this is live. Look, if I move the board around, see that's corresponding on the display there. So that is really clear now, much bigger display of course. It's not a great monitor, it's quite old, but that view with the resolution coming from this microscope is fantastic. Yeah, that's really clear. Brilliant. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to plug in this little cheap HDMI video capture device. So HDMI goes in there, and then that plugs in as USB into my PC. And that way I can screen share everything I'm doing and talk you through the rest. So there you go, I'm screen sharing now the video capture, and you can see me on camera over here. And in that way I can show you the remote and you can see what's happening on the main screen back here. So I guess the first thing then I might not have mentioned yet is this also has a digital zoom. So as well as the optical zoom that you achieve from the various lenses, I've got the L lens here, then there is optical zoom as well. So this is a little zoom plus button and this is a zoom minus. So if I press the zoom plus and go in, you can see that saying down here 1.5 times zoom, and I think you can go up to 4 times digital zoom on top of your optical zoom, that is. So let's go right in, 3 times digital zoom, there you go. Then to go back out you press the minus key there. Okay, there you go, that gives you a bit bigger zoom range, but of course you lose a bit of quality when you're using digital zoom. And to switch through the modes, which is equivalent to pressing the M button on the front of the display here, there is a mode button there. Let's get that in the display. Mode button just there, it says mode on it, it's very tiny. But if you press that, then that will flick through the modes. So that's now on photo mode. I can now scroll through any recordings I've made and press again and I'm back to the video mode. Okay. Over here on the left is a little frost sign, and that does what it probably indicates, is it freezes the display. So if I press it once, that should now have frozen the display. So if I move the device around, it's frozen it. It's not moving on the main display there. If I then press again and release it, you can see it's moved, and then I can move it around. It's back to where it was. Okay, let's get it back on something interesting. There we go, back on resistors. And in this mode, these buttons here and here will control the brightness. So you can go up in brightness and you go down in brightness. That's not the brightness of the LEDs, it's the brightness of the video output, okay? And these two buttons here, kind of a triangle with a plus and minus overlaid, that's the sharpness control. So you can go up in sharpness and down in sharpness. So you got a little triangle that's come up on the display showing you what setting you've currently got it on. The next one down, that's the contrast level. So that's kind of a half black, half white triangle there, and the plus and the minus. So if I go down, that's down in contrast, and that's up in contrast, okay? And this little button here, which got kind of 2 arrows showing it's a switch arrangement, a switching arrangement, if you like. If you press that, it basically inverts the colours. So that's quite handy sometimes, I find, when you're looking at the component number on a chip or a diode or something. Sometimes it's very difficult to read. If you flip the colours around, sometimes it can make it a lot clearer to read. And the little one in the middle there, not quite sure what that symbol's showing, but it changes it to basically mono or colour, flicks between the two. Again, that might be useful if you're struggling to read some text. It going into mono mode may help. And the button on the bottom right there, well, that just sets it all back to its default setting. And this oblong button down the bottom, well, that flips the display vertically. So sometimes you'll have a resistor number and it's back to front, and you can just flip it and make it easier to read. And right up the very top there, well, that's a snapshot button. It's a red button with a picture of a camera. So you press that once and it will take a picture. So it just snaps that, and that will be on the SD card now. And as with the buttons on the front of the display, if I hold the menu button, this time it's only for about a second you need to hold it on here, then you go into all your settings. It's a bit clunky, but once you learn to navigate, it's fairly straightforward. So these buttons now kind of act as your navigation wheel, up, left, right, and down. And in the button you've got, in the middle, you've got an OK button. So I can go down through all of those options there. And if I wanted to go into them, so let's go back to resolution there, click OK. And then I can select which resolution I want. So let's put it Ultra HD, there we go. Exposure I can set, I can put a date stamp, I can set the sharpness, but you can do it from down here, of course. I can freeze it, but I can set that directly from the button. Contrast I can adjust from the buttons, and colour you can adjust. Now to get back to the other options, you have to come out of this, press and hold it again, then press it again. Okay, then you're on to all of your other settings. So it does have Wi-Fi, all right? So I'll explain what you can do with that in a while. But you go into Wi-Fi and you can turn it on, and it becomes a Wi-Fi host, and it will tell you there you go, in red up there. It's got the SSID and the login password. Now don't do what I did and go and key in this WPA2:. That's not part of the password. The default password is this, 12345678, okay? And you'll find this on your mobile phone if you search for Wi-Fi devices, or on your PC or laptop, search for Wi-Fi devices. This is what come up. And then you need to enter that as the password. I'll do a quick demo on that in a while. So let's just go back into the menu then and turn that Wi-Fi off. So back down there, Wi-Fi off. There we go. Then you got some grid line settings, a date and time, which I've actually set. It's quite straightforward. You got different languages. I'm using English, of course. Frequency, you can switch between 50 and 60 hertz. Actually, there is a button just here that you can do that. I forgot to show you that. That will allow you to adjust it. You can format the SD card and you can return the thing to its default settings, but you do have the default button down here anyway. And one amusing thing I found is the infrared receiver I built into my Jeep here to control the LED lights I fitted into it, so I can control all the various colour settings and so on. That actually sits on the same infrared frequency as this. So if I turn it off here and then I start playing around with the controls on here, it comes back on, and I can start pressing various buttons and it does similar things. So yeah, gonna have to be careful with that. But luckily, when I assembled this, I did put a manual switch in there as well, so I can physically turn it off when I'm using this. Oh well. And now we'll try it and see what happens when we connect this thing up to a PC. So you get this USB lead with it. This end goes into the back of the microscope here, and this end goes into your PC. I'm also going to have my HDMI lead connected, just so as I can screen share with you easier than having the camera on it. You'll be able to see it better. But let's plug this in and we'll take a look. Right, so I've connected the USB lead, and then when you power on the microscope, you get presented with this display now. So you get the option of, do you want it to operate as a mass storage device, or do you want it to operate as a PC camera? So let's look at mass storage device first. If I select that, and now you can see on my Windows Explorer, I've got a additional USB drive here, drive F. So let's go into there. I've got DSIM. Then I've got movies and photos. So this must be videos I've recorded. Let's have a look at this one. Come up on my other monitor. So here we go. Let's move him across. There we go. That's one of them I recorded. And just close that. So let's go back into photos. Select one of them. Again, come on my other monitor. Let's put it back here. There we go. There's one. Another one. Another one. Another one. Yeah. Yeah, that works. So you're basically reading the SD card that's plugged into the microscope directly over that USB lead. You haven't got to keep popping the SD card in and out of your PC. Brilliant. Okay, I've rebooted the microscope now, so get back to this menu because I want to try this PC camera mode. But before we do that, we need to download the software from the website. So let's just have a quick look at that first. Okay, to download the software, go to your web browser and key in this URL. It's https://bit or BIT, all in lowercase, .ly, again lowercase, /3x lowercase, then in uppercase it's CRDPL. I'll leave the link in the description below if you ever get to try this, and go to that page and you will get presented with this. Click on the download button and let it download to your PC. Okay, took a little while, but I got this message eventually. Google Drive can't scan this file for viruses. So up to you, but since it's from the manufacturer's manual, then I'm fairly confident it's okay. So I'm going to click download anyway. And there you go, it's downloading. And let's execute that. Okay, click on next. You can't click on next until you put a company name, so I'm just going to use my PKAE. Actually, I'm going to have that in uppercase. There we go. Now I can click next, and I want complete install, I guess. Next, and install. And here it goes. So it didn't take long, so then click finish. And now on my desktop, I've got this icon. It's got a little picture of a microscope and it's called Microscope Measure. So I'm going to double click that and there we go. So now with the software launch, which I've got here, on my microscope, I now need to go to PC camera mode and select that. That's now function as PC camera, as it says. Then you click this icon here to connect up. So you can connect via USB as I'm about to, but also this is where the Wi-Fi comes into play. So if you turn on the Wi-Fi on the microscope and you connect your PC to that host, that Wi-Fi host, as I showed you earlier, then you can connect it over Wi-Fi instead. But as I say, I'm using USB, so let's click that. Now on the drop-down menu, I should find it. There we go, USB camera. Click OK, and we should get our image. There we go, that's our image of the microscope live. If I move the device around, you can see it in the background there. So let's just turn off the capture device now of the screen, and then you can see this better. So I've had a little play around with the software. It's not too bad. It's quite difficult to navigate, but if you hover over these icons, it does give you a little pop-up telling you what it does. So over here, you've got all these measuring tools. So this is a horizontal, this is vertical, this is angled measuring tool. You can annotate all this and put text on it and so on. So you could then print that to PDF and share it with others. Now, in order for the measurement to work, I found that, well, first of all, let's just do one. So if I measured this resistor, so you click this horizontal measurement I'm going to do. So let's click that side first. Then you see I've got this red line, very fine red line, and let's click that side. Now it's given me a measurement in red there, and then I can drop that measurement wherever I like. So that's saying it's 101.45 millimeters. I don't think so. That's a little tiny resistor on a ESP32 board. So actually what you have to do is you have to calibrate first. So in order to calibrate, you need a reference of a known distance. I've put my steel rule underneath the microscope here. So this is 5 millimeters across from here to here. So what you have to first do is take a measurement of that. So let's do my horizontal one again. I'm going to click here and here. I'm going on the left-hand side of both lines there, and then drop my measurement there. Now that's telling me it's 166 millimeters, and we know it's 5. Okay, so now you go to calibration management tab over here, and we've got to give it a name. So let's put a name in there, and I'll call it ruler. Okay, and then we'll put it as, we know it's 5 millimeters. So 5. Okay, then we'll click calibrate and finish. Now when we click on that, that's telling me that is now 5 millimeters. Right, so if I now put the ESP32 back, and now we measured the resistor again, there to there, and the measurement we put here. So it's telling me that's better. It's just over 3 millimeters across that resistor. Brilliant. So you can fairly accurately measure it. It's not going to be 100% precise, but it'll give you a good gauge, I think. It depends on how well you get your calibration set up. Yeah, not bad, but a bit difficult to navigate, but I guess once you've used it a bit, it'll be a lot easier. So in summary then, I'm quite impressed with that. The display is fantastic, very sharp and good resolution, and the over 2000 times zoom is very, very impressive indeed. It's also got lots and lots of functions. I probably haven't shown you a lot of them, but this video would end up way too long. If you're interested in the dimensions, they are here. So the height stands at 30 centimeters or 12 inches. The depth is 20 centimeters or 7.9 inches, and the width is 18 centimeters or 7.1 inches. This is all aluminium, I believe. It feels like it's aluminium. It's very sturdy, very solid. A bit light, really. The base could do with a bit more weight, but it does stand very robustly when I was using it. And just to have a look at this then, the brackets. So this is the boom arm, and you adjust this dial as I showed you to slide this up and down, and that's very smooth operation on that to get closer and further away from the object that you're viewing. Now you can also loosen the thumb screw here and move to whatever position you like, the starting position on the upright boom there. And the arm here you can adjust horizontally, so you release this thread here and you can slide this in and out horizontally. So that gives you horizontal movement like that. And at the time of recording this video, the device is available on Amazon. For the US, it's $169.99. And in the UK, it's £188.32. That's gone down since I first started recording this video, actually. I'm pretty sure that was up at $249 when I first looked at it. There's also a 7-inch version, which is cheaper, of course. So I hope you found this video of use. If you was perhaps on the market for a digital microscope, then maybe I persuaded you to have a look at this Joyalens option. I would certainly recommend it. If you found this video of use and entertaining, then please click the like button. And if you haven't already done so, then please click subscribe as well. All right, catch you later.